Apple is ripping us off. They're out to get us. The display on the iPhone XR is only 720p, and they're trying to sell it to us for a ridiculous amount of money. Can you believe this? Are they ripping us off, or are you just an idiot?
Get daily tech news in a way that doesn't suck. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Front Page Tech. Of course, show that gives you all latest tech news from one geek, that is me, to another, that is you. Happy Thursday. No, I didn't just call all of you idiots. Just wait a second, hear me out. I asked you to go into this episode with an open mind. I know that's not going to work, so put on your boots. Let's get the troops ready, because this episode's going to leave a mark. All right, so before we jump into the awfulness, let's talk about news story numero uno. It's about Huawei. Even though we've been talking a lot about Samsung making a foldable phone and hoping to be first to do so, as we mentioned, Huawei and Xiaomi are also working on foldable phones. And the CEO of Huawei says that their foldable smartphone could replace a computer. While answering questions, he said, "Why do you still use a computer?" You know what? We'll stop it there. What do you think he said? Why do you still use a computer? Go ahead, we'll wait. Options are right. You get it. Okay. If you said that he said that smartphone displays are too small, ding, 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 you're right. Woo. His answer was exactly, quote, "Probably because the smartphone display is too small for you. We will change that. It is conceivable that a display can be folded out." Oh, yes. Oh, Huawei CEO, that is cute. May I direct your attention to this? You see, PC sales are already declining. Why? Because they've already been replaced. Listen, while I'm sure you worked very hard on this foldable phone and some people might think it's cool, I still question the practicality of foldable phones, period. From any company, not just Huawei, so don't think I'm just picking on Huawei. I said the same thing about Samsung. I would say the same thing about Apple, which they are. As you can see, boom, Apple patent, foldable phone, everyone's doing it. But hey, listen, CEO of Huawei, I'm sorry, but your foldable phone isn't gonna replace shit. These have already done the job. PC sales are declining because of these. Phones have already begun replacing smartphones. These are the devices that we carry with us every day in our pockets, constantly on us, and they provide the average consumer with pretty much everything they need. Social media, check. Email, check. Talk on the phone, check. Literally does everything the average person would need to do. That's why PC sales are declining, because everything we need is right here in our pocket. Your phone ain't gonna change anything. You're a little late. Okay, if you're not mad already, speaking of phones and change, OnePlus making a change, and some of you might not be too happy. So there's good news and bad news. The good news, the battery in the OnePlus 6T probably gonna be cool, probably gonna be good size. The bad news though, no headphone jack. Carl Pei, the co-founder of OnePlus, in an interview with Tech Radar said, "We found 59% of our community already owned wireless headphones earlier this year, and that was before we launched our Bullets wireless headphones." I didn't even know those were a thing, but okay. So whether or not that's his exact reasoning for removing the headphone jack, that appears that's exactly what's going to happen. OnePlus 6T, no headphone jack. Now, I guess if I'm being honest, I don't really care either way, right? If a device has a headphone jack or not. Not something I worry about too much, but I still have respect for the companies that have held out this long. Companies like OnePlus, like Samsung. Thank you for being some of the last couple outlaws and keeping the headphone jack. We knew this date was coming. We know you gotta get rid of them. We know that you have to get rid of them, but thank you. Thank you for holding on as long as you did. Okay, now let's talk about the iPhone XR. If you missed it, we put out a video yesterday, our full recap of the Apple event, and I felt pretty good about the iPhone XR. I said some pretty nice things, but a lot of you were very, very, very salty. So listen, even if you are extremely anti-Apple, like that is you to your core, just do me a favor, have an open mind, let me speak, let me explain. I don't think the iPhone XR would have worked any other time. If this was up against like an iPhone 11, probably wouldn't have sold. I think this was the perfect time to drop this phone when the other devices are in an S year. I think Apple nailed it. Let me tell you why. First, yes, I read the comments. I see all the people calling me names, calling me stupid, a hypocrite, or a sheep for even uttering the evil words, "I want an iPhone." Those people are obviously new here. Literally, one of our most popular videos is from this time last year. It was called "Apple Sucks Now and It's Your Fault." I was really tough on Apple this time last year. I called them out in a time where a lot of consumers were feeling the same frustrations, even hardcore Apple customers. They had made a lot of wrong moves for years. Like, I would say ever since iOS 7 dropped, at its core, there was just a massive lack of attention to detail. I was an iPhone user for years. But years ago, I left. And I always say I never left the iPhone, I left iOS. There was nothing really wrong with the hardware, I was just so frustrated with the software. I can't honestly say that there was anything in Android that I saw and was like, whoa, that's better, I need to switch. It was just pure frustration. I was so angry at the direction of iOS, it was sloppy, it was messy. And that's what made me leave. And I was really happy with my decision for the most part. Back in January of this year, I said that I had a weird feeling that Google was going to start to misstep and Apple was gonna get their shit together. And that's kind of exactly what we're seeing. Apple took a step back and refined iOS, focused on performance and reliability rather than features. So much junk had built up since iOS 7 and nothing was being addressed that I'm glad they were self-aware enough to skip out on the features and stuff and just take a year to fix it all. Listen, they have not been perfect this year, like far from it. There's been a lot of issues, but they have made an effort. I still have issues with them, but I'm willing to give them another chance here because of the iPhone XR. Months ago, I put out a video explaining every reason why I believe the LCD model this year would outsell all of the other models, being obviously now the iPhone XS, the iPhone XS Max. And if you go back and watch that, the video is even better now. You know, now that we've actually seen the phone, we've gotten the announcement. A lot of people said I was wrong. I literally argued about this for months. People telling me this phone was gonna flop. It's a peasant phone. It's gonna be so cheap, no one's gonna want it. But I think now that it's been announced, people are opening up their minds and actually seeing what I was trying to say. So that's what I'm gonna ask you to do. Just hang in there, have an open mind, hear me out just for a second. Is the iPhone XR perfect? No, of course it's not, but it has me interested in an iPhone for the first time in a very long time. It even has hardcore Apple fans talking. After the mess that happened last year, it seems that Apple, in their own weird Apple way, is meeting the consumer halfway. I've said it over and over again, the Apple consumer is the average consumer. That's just the way it works. And the average consumer does not care about specs. Everyone is so caught up with the fact that this has an LCD display. Buddy, no one gives a shit. The average consumer can literally not tell the difference or doesn't even care to know. Oh, and the resolution, 1792 by 828 or whatever it is, isn't the end of the world. One of those things that, again, the average consumer doesn't care about. They probably don't even know. This is why this phone is an option, one of three. If you really do care about the specs and which one is superior, cool, you do you. Go buy that superior phone. Everyone is so shocked by the $749 price tag and says that's too high because the screen is only 720p. First of all, no, it's not. Second of all, you do know that the cost of a phone involves more than the display, right? I don't think the specs matter, but for those of you that do and are complaining about the price, how about you also take in consideration that behind that LCD display is also the A12 chip, which, whether you like it or not, is unmatched right now. Also, yeah, Apple is an expensive brand, a quote-unquote premium brand, so there's a price tag on that too. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But shut the fuck up about Apple is ripping people off. Again, average person does not care about any of this, so while you're whining on Twitter, Apple's gonna go ahead and sell tens of millions, probably 100 million of these devices. I'm not saying that Apple is perfect. I'm not saying that Apple is better than everybody else. If you love Android, cool, stick with Android. There are so many other options. You don't have to pay attention to anything iOS. But for Apple, for an iOS device, I think they really made a strong move here. We have been fair here on FPT. We have called Apple out multiple times when they have f***ed up. But I do think it's important to encourage stuff like this. They're obviously trying to listen to us. Even if they didn't give us exactly what they want, again, in their own weird Apple way, they're trying. But at the end of the day, you can't please everyone. Which brings me to this. Hopefully, at this point, if you've been watching the show for a good amount of time, hopefully a few months at least, you realize that I'm not a sheep to any company. I'm not loyal to anybody. I will call out anybody, any company. I don't give a f***. But this time, I think I am being fair. I do not think Apple did everything correctly, like that iPhone XS Max for 512 gigabytes. It's $1,500. That is insanity. Please don't pay that. Listen, here's the thing. There are some people that will just never be pleased. There are people in the comment section right now. There are YouTubers that will never be pleased, and nothing Apple does will ever be good enough, and they will always think Apple is out to get you. And the prices are rigged, everything is inflated, Apple's crazy, they expect you to pay this. And that's fine, you can disagree with me all you want. But calling people names and calling consumers stupid for a decision like this, being so angry at Apple and yelling because it is in your core, it is who you are, it's so personal for you to be anti-Apple. That's lame, that's tired, and I'm over it. When you say this stuff and you're against Apple and Apple is against you and they're out to get us, you don't sound woke. You just sound like a fucking asshole.